What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez, and today, on a day when the entire NFL is ablaze with Micah Parsons being traded to the Green Bay Packers, here on Jets Latest, I want to talk about how the 53-man roster could still be fluid. Remember, I said all this week it was going to be a process. One man's trash is another man's treasure, and that there are still some free agents out there, okay? And listen, I know everybody's talking about the wide receiver too. I don't think necessarily that is going to be a target area for the Jets. I think safety could still be a position of need. However, when everybody's talking about Micah Parsons and how pass rush can be so good, right, and so important for a true contender, I've told you that I still like Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson. However, there are reports out there that the Jets could be connected to a pass rusher out there as well. And one place the Jets could add is a free agent pass rusher by the name of Za'Darius Smith. Okay, Za'Darius Smith, listen, had 9 sacks last year, is a former Pro Bowler, and played with or for Aaron Glenn in Detroit. And this could be an interesting signing. Remember, I like Jermaine Johnson, I like Will McDonald, I like what we're doing and the pass rush, but Jermaine Johnson is still coming back from the Achilles injury, so we'll see what he is like early in the season. But remember, Za'Darius Smith was with Aaron Glenn in Detroit. Listen to what Aaron Glenn had to say about Za'Darius Smith. He goes, he really fits who we are when it just comes to us as a team and really as a defense. He does have a violence to him. He does have a physical nature to him. We're excited. This was when he just got acquired by the Lions and was ramping up. And Aaron Glenn said, we're excited to get his snap count up and to see actually what he's going to do for us as a true edge defender for us. So I think that is interesting. There are still a lot of names out there to monitor, and I do think he would be a nice addition as an extra rotational situational pass rusher for the Jets if we really wanted to even augment that, what I think is going to be a good defense at every level, and we have talked about it here on Jets Latest. I do think safety is a position of need. We'll check that out as well. I know Justin Simmons, I believe, is still out there. They did address tight end. I do not think we're going to see a new wide receiver, though, guys, but we will continue to monitor it here on Jets Latest. And remember, as always, if you want to become a Jets Latest insider, all you got to do is click on that link in the description. You can become an insider. You're going to get extra content going into week 1 and every week, some other exclusive perks. Remember, I also do fantasy sports. I do sports betting. I'm going to help you win your leagues and win that cash as well. But back to the Jets. One guy, and I've talked about this a couple of times, right? We talk about the offense a lot. We talk about the defense a lot. I want to once again talk about the special teams. Not only our kick returner, Kene Nwanu, who I think is great. Not only Nick Folk, who we brought back as a rock-solid kind of veteran. But really, we have found something in Austin McNamara. Austin McNamara has been elite as a punter so far in this preseason. He was actually PFF's highest graded punter in the preseason with a grade of 84.8. 7 of his 14 punts pinned opponents inside the 20. His 45.8 net yards was the best in the NFL in the preseason. His hang time would have been best in the NFL last year by over 1/10 of a second. Okay, so this was legitimate, and the guy had a great college career, all-time, four-time all-conference, one-time all-American. And here's the point I want to make. The Jets, and we've talked about this with the wide receivers, right? I've talked about it with the offensive line and the run game and the physicality of what the Jets are expected to look like on offense. We are going to be a running defensive team. I think special teams becomes even more important if that is your style. I talked about that. I thought it was a great keep to have Kene Nwanu on the kickoffs because I think he's a top kickoff returner. And remember that rule change, that touchbacks are coming out to the 35. So teams are more incentivized to allow the kick returner to actually get a shot at it, increasing the value of the kick returner. I think we got a good one of those. But I keep on talking about McNamara because when you're a running, time of possession, field position defense kind of team, the idea of having what could be a field position weapon, quite frankly, in your punter becomes all that much more important. If other teams average, and you see them put this stat up, right? average start of drive, right? The difference between teams starting on their own 15 and their own 37, right, is very important, especially for the style of play and defense that we are going to have, maybe especially if we get Za'Darius Smith to add to the pass rush as well. So honestly, I really do believe we have struck gold when it comes to Austin McNamara. Another great signing by Darren Muji here, and kind of coached up with Banjo, Glenn, and the group. But when I talk about the defense, we're starting to get into week 1. And so, me, I also do sports betting. I also do the fantasy. You can catch me on the FTN fantasy show on channel 87 on Sirius. I do all sorts of betting. I do live betting shows. And one of the things that I noticed was a potential futures bet. Earlier in the season here on Jets Latest and Jets Latest regulars, this. I was giving you things like Justin Fields rushing props. I was giving you things like Aaron Glenn at, I believe, 11-1 to win Coach of the Year. And one of the things I've been looking at in the comments, thank you to everybody who has engaged with me, is the idea that some people have said, hey, Sauce Gardner is good, but he ain't as good as he was a couple of years ago. Or Sauce Gardner is good, but he ain't Darrelle Revis and Revis Island. I get that. But what's important to note, like somebody in the comments mentioned, I think last week, the idea that he doesn't have as many interceptions. But part of that is because teams just do not throw Sauce's way, okay? And quite frankly, teams are going to continue to avoid Sauce. That's why Brandon Stevens, A.Z. Thomas, Michael Carter are so important. And actually, all the way back to the week against the Giants, Jameis Winston said as much. Listen, he literally said directly to Sauce, yo, I'm hoping to see more of you tomorrow. We didn't really throw your way. It's intentional. Teams are not going to throw to Sauce Gardner. And if they do, and because we're playing a different style of defense, I think there's a universe where Sauce's stats, the people who want more interceptions, more tackles, all that stuff, that can actually go up. And check this out. This is a decent long shot. Sauce is 75-1 to win the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Patrick Surtain, for example, is 33-1. He won it last year, and he won it odd as a cornerback to win it. Usually it's an edge rusher, but Surtain won it last year. He's 33-1. Sauce is a better corner, in my opinion. 75-1. Derek Stingley of Houston, who also got the bag in the offseason, he's 60-1. Sauce is 75-1. And remember, look at Sauce's, credentials. The PFF coverage grade, best in the league since he's been there. League high incompletions past breakups. League low yards per cover snap. And like I'm saying, because Glenn plays press man coverage, we may see more passes defense. We may see more interceptions, but part of the reason that we don't see those stats is because teams just do not go at Sauce. We'll see if that changes at all in 2025, because listen, if we're bringing the heat with Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, blitzing linebackers, Quinnen Williams, now helped by Harrison Phillips eating up guys, we may see more guys have to throw to Sauce's side of the field. So I thought that was an interesting futures bet to potentially make. Most of the top guys are all edge rushers, including, bringing it back to Micah Parsons, he is the 5-1 favorite to win NFL Defensive Player of the Year. But that'll do it for this episode. Listen, I hope everybody has a great Labor Day weekend. Okay, kind of signals the end of summer. We will be back next week on, not Monday, but on Tuesday, literally getting us ready for week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're talking about what the offense should look like. We'll do some scouting of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll give you the injury report, and that's what we're going to do, kind of exposing what we need to do to get a W in our season opener at MetLife against Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I am so excited. We have gotten through the summer. We've gotten through the summer relatively healthy. There's a lot of reasons to be optimistic, and I just want to thank everybody again for the growth of the Jets Latest channel, right? We are up over 2,200 subscribers. I appreciate everybody commenting, liking, watching the videos, and remember, you can become a Jets Latest insider by clicking that link on the description. But let's get to what people have to say. Dan from over there says Aaron Rodgers better be able to run for his life. Absolutely. We will see what happens, but I think we're going to bring a little bit more pressure even than we did last year when we did have a top 10 sack rate, a top 10 pressure rate. Old Dave, shout out to him, of course, says not sure what the safety position is going to bring, but no holes on D outside of that. Talking about the wide receiver depth and that with our offensive line, we should be competitive. Old Dave, I agree with you. Thanks for being a regular, and we'll see because it's going to be a fun season, Old Dave. Let's get down and talk about it here together. Jersey for Hawks says, happy with Cook as our QB3. And listen, I am too. I think that's a definite developmental guy that we're going to have kind of groom behind Tyrod Taylor, as we talked about the practice squad this week. You know, he was going to make the roster, then he didn't, then he got to the practice squad. He is our developmental QB3. But, you know, it's interesting talking about Brady Cook as the QB3. We also have a quote from I Believe in Freedom, who says, "You guys are worrying too much about a number 3 quarterback. If becoming an obsession with Jets fans, how many games is an NFL team going to win with a number 3 quarterback? They are number 3 for a reason." And I don't dispute that. Like, if Brady Cook is starting games for us this year, that means something went horribly wrong, okay? But what I would like to see is groom him to be maybe a legitimate backup behind Justin Fields after Tyrod Taylor moves off into the sunset. But that'll do it for this episode. Remember, if you want to hear more from me, I'm the host of the FTN Fantasy Show over on SiriusXM. If you haven't had your fantasy football draft yet, hit me up on Twitter at Spittin' Speeds. I will help you out. Thank you to everyone. Next week, it is week 1 of the NFL season. I know all of you and you regulars are excited. I'm excited to bring this season to you. Keep it locked here for Jets Latest. We will be giving you the quotes, the stats, the insights on the Jets, Jets. Happy Labor Day weekend, everybody. Hope you had a great summer. So did I, but I'm excited for football season. But for now, we out of here. Peace.